So it looks like XCOM 2 is coming to Nintendo Switch, which is pretty cool, but it raises a few big questions on a number of different topics. So today I'm going to address 3 big questions. First of all, for all you Civ fans out there, I'm going to ask the question, is this what's been keeping Aspyr busy? Is this why they've not released the much needed Civ 6 patch for the PS4 version of the game especially? The second question I'm going to look at is, what is XCOM 2 all about? I'm going to give a very brief overview on the gameplay and stuff like that, how it's similar to Civ as well, I'll touch on that very slightly. And the third big question, and probably the one that all you Switch fans are here for, is, will this port be any good? That's quite an important one. So let's start off with why we think this game is coming to Switch. Xplain released a video, I'll leave a link in the description. Basically, the Switch version of this game has got a listing in South Korea, so it looks like it's happening. So, on to the first big question. Is this what's been keeping Aspyr busy? Is this why I get lots of people upset in the comments because their game doesn't work properly? Now, the answer is I'm not sure, which is not a brilliant answer, but there's reasons why it could be Aspyr, and there's reasons why it might not be Aspyr. So let's start with why it might not be Aspyr. So XCOM 2 was ported over to Xbox One and PS4 a little while ago, a few years ago now, by Blind Squirrel, not Aspyr. So for some reason 2K and Firaxis decided that Blind Squirrel were the best option to bring that game over to Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Now nothing's happened to Blind Squirrel, they're still going, so there's a chance that actually they could still be in charge of porting this game over to Switch. Now, I'm not convinced that that's definitely what's going on. I still think when I think of Firaxis, I think of 2K and ports of strategy games, I still jump to that conclusion of Aspyr. They seem to be the current people to do that right now. They brought Civ 6 to every single console platform plus iOS. So I think there is a chance that they will be bringing that. What I'll also say on Aspyr as well, and why I think there's a good chance they have something maybe to do with this, we don't have confirmation yet, but they brought, successfully, Civilization 6 from PC, a much more powerful platform. They managed to tone that game down to the less powerful Nintendo Switch. That experience could be useful for bringing XCOM 2 to Switch, because the Switch is a completely different animal. You've got to get the portability thing done with the touchscreen, and you've also got to turn the game down enough that it plays on the Switch, because the Switch is just not as powerful a console as the other two are. That's not the only reason though why I think Aspyr might be behind this. This next reason is pretty much why I think Blind Squirrel might not be behind it, because recently the Nintendo Switch also got ratings for the BioShock collection to come to the platform, something else which I'm quite interested to play on Switch, but Blind Squirrel were also in charge of porting the BioShock collection over to PC and stuff, so if Blind Squirrel are working on the BioShock collection to Switch, surely that leaves the door open for Aspyr to work on XCOM 2 to Switch. It's just speculation at this point, but overall, I think there's a decent chance this is what's keeping Aspyr busy. The final note I'd say on this is that even if Aspyr aren't working on this, it just proves that companies move on. They develop new games, they develop new ports, so even if Aspyr aren't working on the XCOM 2 port, they're still probably working on something else, and I just thought it'd be interesting to highlight that in this video. Anyway, moving on to more XCOM 2 specific stuff, this could be interesting for even if you've got PS4 and Xbox One, maybe if you're not on Switch, this game is still on there, so it's probably worth sort of discussing it here. So what is XCOM 2, if you've never played it before? Well, it is basically a turn-based tactics game. It's turn-based, which is the crucial bit, but it's different in the way that it's sort of, you're controlling individuals on the ground in a mission. Now, if you think of Civilization 6, Civ 6 is all about building and managing an empire, building and managing things on a much bigger scale. XCOM 2 is very much develop your sort of characters, put your characters in a mission, you have to get them from the start of the mission, you have to complete the mission objective, and then you have to get them out alive at the end of the mission. So I'm sure the gameplay on screen will help you here, but I love Civ 6, and I've had a lot of fun with XCOM 2 on PC as well, so you can sort of see that if you like one, there's a good chance you'll probably like the other. So how good of a port do I think this will be on the Nintendo Switch? How well do I think it will translate to Switch and run on Switch? And also, how good do I think it will look on Switch? So, the first thing to say is that I think it will be a solid port. The key word there being solid. So why don't I think it'll be absolutely exceptional? Well, although the studios of Aspyr and Blind Squirrel do a pretty good job, and in some respects, an exceptional job in bringing these games to other platforms, there have been a few issues with ports from both. For example, Civilization 6 on PS4 has issues with the multiplayer. On Switch, Civilization 6 has problems with crashing. Also, if you think to Blind Squirrel, they developed the Bioshock collection. I have that on Steam, and the game just crashes too much. But in other regards, they've done very good jobs of bringing these games to other platforms. I mean, who would have thought that Aspyr could have brought Civ 6 from PC over to the Nintendo Switch, a far less powerful console, with it running pretty good, having all the features. So I think it will be solid. It may have a few issues, a few technical issues, but overall, I think I will purchase it. I think it will be worth the purchase, but obviously we'll have to see what happens in the future. The second thing and the final thing in the whole video really is how good will the game look? I think you've got to look back to Civ 6 on Switch. It will still look decent, but it will nowhere look as good as it does on PS4, on Xbox One, and definitely not on PC. On those platforms, they are so much more powerful than the Switch that you just cannot expect it to look as good. But overall, it'll look decent. It's going to be a solid experience. It's going to be good to take this game out on the go, so I'm really excited for it. What do you think though to the stuff we have discussed in this video? Are you excited for XCOM 2 coming to the Nintendo Switch? And do you think that Aspyr have been working on this? Obviously we'll keep covering all this stuff in future videos. Thank you so much for watching. Please do remember to hit the like button and subscribe if you have enjoyed today. And I will see you in another video soon.